person that was getting Googled by my tech, Connor Lowe, in the beginning of the show. Yep, I'm Andrea Marston. This is 5 things on Bad Dog TV. I'm going to read a little something, and then I'm going to pay a tax upon me reading it, because that's the only way these words are going to be helpful. We acknowledge that the land we are broadcasting the show on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of Credit, the Anishinaabegs, the Chippewas, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people, and is now home to many diverse First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people. And then there's a thing about treaties that I'm not going to read because I think treaties are bullshit this week. Oh, am I allowed to say that on Bad Dog TV? I did. Coko, I'm sorry. I think that every time a land acknowledgement is said, we should pay some money. So I'm going to donate to an Indigenous creator that I'm going to mention today. Because today, they say never meet your heroes. I'm a first-generation Canadian. My parents immigrated here from Pakistan. I was brought up to be a proud Canadian, to be so grateful to be born where I am. And then today, not today, the weekend, 215 bodies of Indigenous children were found in a residential school yard in Kamloops. And it's not news. We know what's going on. I think sometimes we just get slapped in the face with reminders, which is sad that we have to get slapped in the face with reminders of bad things happening to do any good in this world. So, I don't know, it kind of rocked my world this week. My perfect little Canada wasn't my perfect little Canada, like the Underground Railroad and Anna Green Gables. There's a lot more to Canada. And the education you get after your education is sometimes more of the truth. It is the truth. In fact, I learned my high school was named after, I'm a Bishop Grandin, your class of 2000. Grad, and my Bishop Grandin was actually someone who really advocated for the growth of residential schools in Western Canada. So, thanks, douchebag. Sorry, yeah, I just think, and I was never taught about that in school. We used to go to masses all the time. Never taught about that in school. So, I am imploring you, as a citizen of Canada, to do your homework. And also, the 5 things that I bring you this week, shouldn't be homework. This is just pure enjoyment. There are 5 Indigenous creators on TikTok, mostly because I love TikTok. I learned so much on TikTok. It's very educational to me. Sorry, I should read a book too. We'll talk about books later with my lovely guest. But yeah, here are 5 Indigenous creators I want to highlight today. One of my favorites, because I love dancing and bright colors, is at Notorious Cree, who, he's educational, he's entertaining, and he's fine. He's good looking. So I'm on this page a lot. You should check it out. Very great content. Next, someone I've been following for a while, mostly on Instagram, but Autumn Peltier. She is really does so much amazing international work to bring light to the water issues that a lot of reservations have on Canada, which is ridiculous. Everybody should have access to clean water. Autumn Peltier does an amazing job advocating for this and talking about her culture in a really beautiful way. Next up we have, which one do we have? Indigenous Baddie, _ Baddie on TikTok. She is from, I think she's near Winnipeg, I believe, which is that's my hometown. So hello, Winnipeg. Beautiful dancing and also really educational videos and just a really cool glimpse of the life of an Indigenous person and their culture. Loved it. Great content. Oh, that Hudson Bay. Don't even get. Anyways, I saw the Hudson Bay cult and I got personally offended when Connor was scrolling on Indigenous Baddies TikTok. Next, we have O'Karen. I think it said O'Karen, and if it is, hilarious because I just care. The juxtaposition is hilarious. This is a very cool artist. Again on TikTok. Very cool content, very artistic content, and just educating. I believe she's a two spirits. Yes, two spirits. And just I've learned a lot watching it. And finally, a throat singer. And throat singing is hard. It's hard on your throat. She told me about it. It's Shanova. Yeah, and also that smoked fish. I gotta try it. That's what's coming up on the TikTok Hello, I'm my mother. As Connor is being kind enough to scroll. So let's get several air horns for all these amazing Indigenous creators. Thank you. Thank you for those air horns. Our history, it's a bit rough, but I think our future can be like awesome if we can be brave enough to have difficult conversations, which is something I literally go to therapy for. I am not good. I was so nervous to the beginning of this because I'm like, I come at you with enthusiasm and love every time, and now I'm like, it's just disingenuous at this time to be like that. So I wanted to be honest with you, but someone who really, 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 really inspires me to have difficult conversations in a very confident and like satirically hilarious ways at sometimes is my guest today. She's a good friend of mine. We used to be at Housego together in the Second City in the famous one-hit wonder group Milk. We were a part of the Queendom at one time. I've saved her while she was intoxicated at one time during an improv festival. I'm so excited to have a little chat about 5 things with Nkasi Ogbonnah, which we're gonna. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being a guest. Honestly, this is just a way to get us to catch up.
Thank you.
This is our.
We haven't seen each other in literally over a year. Literally over a year.
I was saying I got this one vax in me, and I'm like, I'm ready to sit in a park. I'll come to Mississauga. I'm gonna Uber and get to you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
No problem.
I want to get right into it because my first question is about your name, which for the first thing one, thank you, Connor, bringing up thing one. We're pretty good friends. I'd say we're pretty good friends. You're one of my best friends in Toronto, like in the community. And for years, I had been saying your name wrong. And I found out through a very you're such a good writer. Honestly, you're an amazing writer. Such a well-articulated post on Facebook that I was saying it wrong the whole time.
Yeah. But in your defense, I told you how to say it, and you were saying it how I told you.
Yes, that's true. So I just want to know, like, that post was beautiful, but I want to know, like, some things about. See, this is why I say it. I say it's 5 things, but I'll squeeze 9 questions in thing 1. Okay, I want to know, like, how to say your last name, because I just found out before the show I was been saying it wrong. So the last name. I want to know, like where your name comes from. Like, why did your parents decide to name you Nkasi? And like, tell us the way everybody's been saying it wrong. How you could say it right. Okay. Because people should know your name. People should be screaming it from the rooftops, honestly.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Yes. It was funny because it was when I was doing diversity at Second City, Aisha Alpha, I told her my name, and she just goes, "How do you pronounce it?" I was like, Nkasi. And she's like, no, how do you pronounce it? She's also, her dad is Nigerian. And she's like, no, how do you pronounce it? I was like, Nkasi, but it's easier. She's like, no. And she's like, you absolutely not. She's like, you tell them your name. And immediately I was like, I tell them my name. And that's when I started slowly telling people in person what my name was. And then a couple years later, I was like, you know what? I think I just got to kind of tell everyone what my name is.
Yeah, it was like a coming out party for your name.
Yeah. My only hope, but only my first name.
Only your first. There's got to be a whole part 2 for your.
Yeah.
Should this be it? Oh my God! Everybody, listen to this podcast. Watch the show. Drum roll. How do you say that last name?
So it's Nkasi Ogbonnah.
Ogbonnah. Oh my
Ogbonnah.
goodness.
So it's like it's an O sound, not
O. No,
Ogbonnah.
I don't want you to shy. I saw you shy away. It's for my own comfort.
I literally never. The funny thing is, I've never had this conversation with anyone before.
I know.
Never.
And
this
I'm
is
glad
the first
that we're
time.
having it because, like, you're such a close friend of mine, and like, also, you're on the Second City main stage now. Air horns. And you're gonna be famous with Untitled Black Sketch Project, which I will find out more about later. It's my investigate. I'm here every time I talk to someone from Untitled. I'm like, okay, but people gotta know your name. And also, like, it's like you're doing so well, you're so successful, you're carrying like your family's, like, you're doing this for them. You're doing this for them. So, like, I want to say it right for your family. I want to say it right the way your mom intended you to say it. So like, yeah, tell me how did Nkasi, why did your parents pick that name?
So it's kind of a depressing story. It's Nigerian and it means the comforter. And the reason I was named that is because, unfortunately, so my brother passed away the year before I was born. He only lived about 2 hours. He had, which one is it? It's trisomy, I can't remember, 13, 19? I cannot remember which one it was. But children with that just do not have, generally speaking, they live hours to days after birth. That's it. But... So for them, they had me almost a little over a year after he was born. So for me, I was the comfort to their grief. So that's how I got my name. And yes, Nigerian.
That's sad, but that's so beautiful. I love that. Okay, and now we're going to talk about your last name one more time, so I'm saying it right, and you're not going to brush me off because I want to know.
I'm going to tell you.
Then we're going to go to thing 2, but I love that. Okay, so yeah, tell us.
Ogbonnah.
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 Ogbonnah. Am I saying it right?
I'm trying to... Connor told me to turn my headset down, and now I'm like...
Ogbonnah.
Connor, I'm turning it up for like a hot second. I'm so sorry. Okay, say it now.
Ogbonnah. I'm thinking it's the beginning.
Ogbonnah. Ogbonnah.
Ogbonnah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, I wish I could hug you right now because I feel like I know you this much better now. Yeah. Oh, slap me. Yes. Yeah, you slap me. I come in for a hug. Yeah. One of those post-COVID hugs I think I'm going to start doing. Who knows? Great. Now we're going to thing 2, which is also such a loaded question of like so many things. And that's why we had to get thing 2. And Cassie, one of the things that really inspires me about your work is how you incorporate the things you love into it. So you love history, you love gymnastics, you love space. So I just wanted to know, like, how do you do that? Like, I feel like it's magical. Like, I struggle to find ways to, like, put my voice in. So, like, what's your tip to, like, incorporating the things you love in the history of gymnastics? Do you have a sketch about the history of gymnastics?
Connor just has the history of gymnastics pulled up. I don't have a sketch about it, but I did once do what's that show? Oh my god, what's
history
that show
of space called? Now Connor's putting up the history of space
gymnastics. Not enough. What's that show? Where anyone can do whatever they want to do, and it's like really wild. Oh my gosh, what's that show?
Where everybody can do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's like comedy, but you can't be stand-up or sketch.
Place?
No.
I just finished watching The Good Place. Connor put that in the chat.
No, it's a live show. There was a bad dog, and sometimes they had it.
Disaster show?
Yes, I could not remember that. But I did a whole PowerPoint on how gymnastic scoring works.
Yeah. How do you make that into comedy? How do you do it? I've seen you do it with John A. friggin' McDonald, that piece of trash. I've seen you, like, Putin. Like, I just see you... Putin wasn't yours.
I mean, that wasn't mine. But it did... That was one of those scenes where when I saw it, I was like, I could have written this.
Yeah.
Which is why I did it. I don't know. I think for me as a writer, personally... everyone, how everyone approaches writing is different for them, obviously. And for me, things that I like and things that inspire me... For me, it's just easy to write that. Yeah. So for me, it's much harder to be like, write about cell phones. Like, I now have to find something about cell phones that, like, connects me to them to really get into it. Like, that's when I really get into a sketch or anything, when I'm personally connected to it. So for me, it's just a case of, these are things that really interest me, and that helps me write. So...
Okay, still on thing two. What's your like favorite thing about like something you're like obsessed? What's your favorite sketch you've written ever about like something you're obsessed about, like history or space or gymnastics?
Oh my! Actually, speaking of names, a sketch Kat and I did was a sketch where it was actually there's two. There's the sketch where Kat and I were playing Romanian like politicians back like old Romanian politicians, and the whole thing was Vlad the Impaler had died, and the person who was supposed to take over for him was like named like Skippy the Happy Boy or something like something very just like silly because he was like a happy person, and we didn't want to hire him because his name didn't have fear like Vlad the Impaler, and the whole thing was just being like he's qualified but his name isn't good.
That's very funny.
So that was that. Also, I love my Laura Secord one, my monologue.
Your Laura Secord. That's the one, the Houseco, what you used for your Houseco. Well, not Houseco. Audition. Oh, yes. 1623. Your sketch group. Which is so... I had never seen a sketch group like your sketch group. And when I saw it, I was like, I want to be friends with her. I think I saw your sketch group before I actually like met you. And I was like, they're like roasting history in a way I'd never seen history roasted before. And I was like, it was so good. It was so funny.
Thank you.
You also, so you talked about this, so we're moving to thing three, seamlessly segue. Okay. I did a segue dance, because thing three is like, as equally you love to talk about the things you love in your sketch, you also really, and I admire this, and I want to be more like this, are so good at talking about difficult things in your comedy. I can think of a sketch you did with Tom in our House Go show about being in the bedroom in an interracial couple and the role playing that happens in there.
I'm so happy you brought that up too.
Yeah. So like, how do you do that? Like how, like difficult, I can't even have a difficult normal conversation, like a comedic sketch.
I think it's funny. Like, I'm very happy you brought up that specific scene because that scene I did in 2018 with Tom Hearn. I don't know if you said
friend of the pod.
Yeah, I don't know. Fingers crossed.
Better be.
And then I did it again on main stage in 2020, but I rewrote it. And I think you said, how do I perform like that? It's literally taken years and years and years of getting to know myself and getting to know how I am as a writer and learning to trust my ability as a writer. Because just that sketch, if you look at the version I did in House Co. and you look at the version I did on main stage, I changed it. Because looking back at the House Co. one, I realized that I had written that 100% to appease a white audience.
Yeah.
So if for those of you who don't know, the sketch is Tom and I were a married couple. We're trying to spice up our life and our sex life, and I guess our whole life because that's what it seemed like. But I suggested we do some role play, and the role playing turned out that I wanted to get him to role play as a black man, and it just put him in very uncomfortable situations. But at the end of the scene, I don't remember what the exact joke was. Tom got the laugh. And it kind of made this all like, kind of wrapped it up in this pretty nice bow. And I remember going into main stage and wanting to do this scene because I knew it didn't sit right with me how I had done it the first time. I'm not saying it was bad, but I'm just like, ooh, I didn't go with what I wanted to truly do. So when we came back with the scene, I remember it was the only scene in our show that did not end with a laugh. Chris got a joke. I immediately slammed the joke down, called him out, and it was uncomfortable, and then the lights just slowly faded. And I remember we had a conversation about whether or not we should make the audience sit in that discomfort. And I said, look, I've worked, so the scene's like 3.5 minutes. For those 3.5 minutes, I've worked so hard to get you to this place. kind of feeling uncomfortable, as you should. When you give that person that laugh at the end, it kind of takes away everything I've just done. And we're like, okay, we've forgotten about it. Cool. But when you sit in that discomfort, and it was like a 10-second discomfort of nothing but his light slowly fading and us after yelling at each other, just staring. And I thought it was so important for me that people sit in that discomfort. And the way I look at it is, if people are uncomfortable for those 10 seconds, can you imagine how uncomfortable it is to be a BIPOC individual who's going through these situations? Can you? So just for 10 seconds, sit in this discomfort. Because for me personally... Sorry.
Love that. No, I'm just saying I love that. I hope you rate TV shows, because people need to, sit in the discomfort and not have it be wrapped in a...
Not everything has to be wrapped in a pretty bow. And the thing is, also, I think sometimes people confuse discomfort in comedy with, like, trying to be edgy or risky or, like... And I'm like, no. I personally don't think of it that way. I think of it more as... the best way to describe it for me is, I'm going to take you on a journey, and through part of that journey, I might hold you at the edge of a cliff. But I want you to know something. I'm always going to keep you safe. I am never going to let you go. And I think that's the difference with putting people in an uncomfortable situation. Like, we just don't like situations. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be talking about it. And then putting people in an unsafe situation, which I never want to do. But if you're feeling uncomfortable, it's not you feeling unsafe. It's just you not liking this moment, and that's fine. That's okay. I don't want you to feel comfortable all the time.
I think I know I do this as an elder millennial. Like, just try to find ways.
I think the term is geriatric.
I heard that one, and that really got to me. That one hurts me as I enter my last year of my 30s. I'm like, didn't like that. But I'm not good at sitting in discomfort. I'm not good at, and I don't think my whole generation of us is, we numb ourselves out to discomfort and we avoid difficult conversations. That's why it was very cool to work with you, because you're like, I like it. Even before that sketch, I remember when we were doing Archive, you were doing the Putin scene and you're like, I love feeling them feel uncomfortable. You're like, I love that feeling, because you're going to keep them safe. That's probably part of the adrenaline of it. But also it makes people listen when they're in a theater and they can't go anywhere.
Also in that scene, it was fun because, the original scene was an Archive scene from Chicago, and the guy who, I don't know his name right now, but the guy it was a white guy who performed it too, in the original show. And he literally came out topless. And I remember being like, Paul, just so you know, I'm going out there top. And I came out with, like, the bra, and then, like, the abs drawn on me. And I'm like, here we go.
Yes. It makes me really love doing improv with you. Speaking of, usually on question 4, I ask about improv, but I forgot to ask a very important question that I have to ask you. So we know we've done improv for years together. We love it. We're great. You should take an improv class at baddogtheater.com/education. Who remembered this week? I remembered this week. Hey, also, if you like this conversation so far, before I get to thing 4, I would love for you to smash that like button. And then on the, yes, thank you. I just wanted the sound effect mostly. And then I would also love for you to like and subscribe. We like and subscribe podcast with the Sonar Network. So yeah, cool. Thing 4, though, getting back to business. Hey, I say you're gonna. This is again a three question thing 4 is untitled Black Sketch Project. I am obsessed. I saw on Black and Funny both nights of it. Yes, Connor's bringing up in Google. I want to ask you, because you're one of the co-creators of it. I want to ask, it was on Black and Funny. Yes, it was so good. Connor's Googling it. Find them on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yep.
Yes. Why did you decide to do this? Like, I know it's like an obvious answer because it's only white people doing comedy. but
I think
Yeah, and I have you can answer them all because I want to know. Number 2 is yeah, just like what's your favorite part about working with a group of people? And the third one, I will find out, Nkasi, I will find out what is happening next. I've
Uh,
asked Fat Al. Nobody tell me. I asked Coko. Nobody tells me.
so we came. I think it's funny because I think it's obvious that there's not a lot of troops, period, that are people of color. It's mostly white men in troops. That's it. And you see it so often that I feel like for the longest time, it just became my normal. And you didn't even question it as different or wrong because it's just what you saw, at least for me.
Oh, so you went to Humber, yeah, so that's doubly true of you.
Yep, went to Humber. Anyways, do not put that on any of my bios.
No.
No. Oh, no. Do not give them credit. I don't give them credit. But so during Toronto Sketch Fest 2018, Jonas and I we ran into each other at the show, at the theater, and we were going to see the same show, and it was Hackett and Langdon were on the bill. They were the first act, so we saw them, and we were sitting together, and immediately after we saw them, I think seeing them on stage doing sketch for both of us, this was probably our first experience watching a troupe that was just black people doing sketch. And in that moment, we literally we've never, what? Why is this? And then immediately we're like, why is this not a thing? Why is it just this duo? How come there's never been an ensemble? What? And in that moment, we were like, we have to start something. Mm-hmm. And because Jonas got hired to map out oyster babies. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think it involves maps. It involves oysters in the Netherlands. I don't know. Please ask him.
So this is before he went on his trip?
Yeah, so because he went, I think, end of 2018.
Yeah.
And then, and then came back early 2019, maybe right before, because I think he was there at New Year's. But, so that happened, and then it kind of never worked out for 2019. We were both really busy. And then finally, unfortunately, the pandemic hit in 2020. And he reached out to me, and he's like, we should submit an idea for Sketchfest. They have a fund for sketch troops, and we should submit for it. So we did, and then we got it. So that's how we originally, that's how it came to be.
And what do you love about it the most? What do you what's the feeling? What's the feeling when you're all working together?
It's the first time I feel like I don't have to cater for anyone.
That's so good.
I truly can write for myself. And so Brandon Hackett of Hackett and Langdon, he is part of it, and he's also the head writer for it. One thing that's really nice about it is, so normally, especially if I write things that have to do with being black or anything that makes people uncomfortable, 90% of the time I go into these situations being like, okay, this is what I'm going to say for when they're weirded out by this point. This is what I'm going to say when they're feeling uncomfortable here. And I come in with all these arguments ready for when they don't want to do it because they feel uncomfortable. In Untitled Black Sketch Project, Brandon gives notes, actual notes to how to make the scene better without taking away from the scene. There's never one moment where I'm worried that he's going to look at a sketch, change something, and then my POV is completely going to be watered down or taken away. Ever. And it's gotten to this nice point where it's because at first I did have that weird feeling of oh, I hope you let me do my stuff. But it's gotten to this point where it's I go in and I'm confident that will not happen the minute I walk in.
That makes me so happy because I've worked with you through a lot of things and I know, and I've been first row to see you get edited down, and so that's wonderful. That's amazing.
So I don't get that.
That's amazing. Okay, hey, what's next? When's the TV show coming out? When can I go to the movie? What's happening? Tell me. Drop the details here.
So you see, what's happening is,
That's a long sip of a drink.
yeah. So you see,
Wait, did you make yourself? That was a magical muted moment. Is it my internet? I can't tell what's happening. No.
anyways, that's what we're doing.
I was duped. That was. I will get the scoop on this. We have one more show left. It's Paloma, but I don't know how we're gonna get that. But we will get
Paloma,
the scoop.
Paloma, what is happening with Untitled Black Scout? Please.
I need to know. I will ask Paloma.
No one will tell me.
It must be good because everybody's being real quiet about it. So I'm very excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Anyways, like honestly. Somebody who's worked with you a lot and I've seen a lot of your writing, I can say this. I don't know if this offends you. I hope it doesn't. I just saw some of your best writing, like your best sketches, and that I clearly knew were your sketches when I watched Black and Funny. I was like, that's Nkasi's sketch. That's Nkasi's sketch. And it was like,
oh yeah,
some of the best stuff I've ever seen you like put out. Like I was like, this is so good. This is so like. It was so undeniably you. Not that everything you do is so undeniably you, but this was like, it just felt magical. It felt good. It felt
me
like,
truly letting loose.
Yeah, feeling like you're actually having all fun and not like fun, but like catering to people.
Playing Sir Johnny McDonald.
Johnny McDonald.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, because I had a whole Hamilton talk too. That's just that.
Oh gosh. Well, I hope we all get to see you on TV. That's what I hope. I hope it's like a Netflix special. I'm putting it on the universe. I'm manifesting for you. Honestly.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think TV deserves you. Because make everybody feel uncomfortable. I want it. Okay, now for the thing where the rapid fire 5 things that for the first time ever, I've given someone a spoiler alert on this one. So I already told Nkasi that I could. Nkasi's an avid reader, especially during the pandemic. It seems you're really intaking a lot of wonderful content. So what are 5 book recommendations you can provide me as someone who hopes to watch less TikToks and read more books?
Look, first of all, there's nothing wrong with getting your media from your stuff from other sources. Just do it in moderation.
Yes.
So let's see. I actually have I brought up a list of my books because I'm like, I want to choose good books. So let's see. Okay. Jewel Parker Rhodes.
BMV Books. This is where you can go on Galore. This is the closest bookstore to me, actually. So, sorry, Connor just brought that up on Google. Thank you. Go to BMV Books. Use books. Great bookstore. Okay.
One. Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes. It's about a black child who gets shot by a cop, and then his ghost meets the ghost of Emmett Till.
Wow.
And it kind of takes him on this kind of journey, and you follow like his trial, and you even follow the cop's daughter, who's also a child, and see like what she's going through. And it's the thing about the book is too, it's like you can tell just by me talking about it, it's like it's a darker book. It's targeted at middle school audiences. It's a very short read. It's a very quick read. But it is a moving read, and there's something about. I was thinking about this. I'm like, there's something about the fact that this is a book for a middle school audience. Growing up with Wayside Stories, wacky buildings. It's like this is where we are now. Because we have to teach it.
Yeah. But I kind of like that. Like, make them feel from the beginning so they're not numbed out like us geriatric millennials.
Yeah, they should. Honestly, yes. And it's a very good book.
I'm going to read it and check it out. It's on my list now. Number 2.
Octavia Butler's Kindred. I just read. I'd heard. I'm embarrassed to say I hadn't read anything from her forever. So it's kind of like this. It's sci-fi, but it's also kind of historical fiction because it's a woman who gets randomly transported back into the antebellum era, so slavery, and it turns out she has to help one of her white ancestors survive so she can be born essentially. And it's just so it is like sci-fi because time travel, but it's also in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's historical fiction because it's.
That sounds like your dream book. It has historical fiction and time. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. You
Yep.
must love
They're
that
making
book.
it into a show.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Good. Nice.
Third
Third book. Thank you, Connor, for bringing all these images up so we can go find them.
Are we on
after the
3?
show. Yeah, we're on thing 3. Or book
Okay.
3.
So this is kind of, I don't know if it's a cop-out, 3 books, so they're novellas, and it's
very
the
fitting.
Binti series by Nnedi Okorafor. So there's 3 books, and it's about this girl who gets accepted into this school that's like on another planet far away, and no one in her family has ever gone to, like, I guess you'd call it post-secondary education of that type. And it also plays a lot into race, too, even though it's, like, well in the future.
Wow.
So, yeah, I love, Nigerian woman with Nigerian descent writing sci-fi. That's beautiful.
That's awesome. All right. Was that 4? I think that was 4. The last one.
No, that was 3.
That's 3? Oh my god,
Yes.
I'm like lost track. Okay.
Because I counted like a bunch of
right,
books.
3 books. Yeah, right. Okay, great. I got confused. So, what's number 4?
Number 4 is this is because I know what my number 5 is, but number 4 is okay. I'm gonna go with it's the first book I read this year. It's Tim Peake's Limitless. So if you don't know me, I'm into space. And Tim Peake is a British astronaut, and it's essentially just his autobiography. And the one thing I like about it is I find personally a lot of the times, I won't lie, really smart people, like scientists, sometimes I find it very difficult to connect with them when they're trying to write because they're not the best at that kind of communication. And his book, for me, I was like, oh, it feels like I'm talking to a person, and I'm really invested in your story, and I really want to learn more about helicopters because of that. A lot of helicopter talk. But that's my space, because I'm like, I want one space thing, because I love space. And then the last one is this place.
Helicopters, thank you. Connor's
yes, thank
bringing
you.
up some helicopter porn for you.
Yeah, that's what it's called in the book.
Helicopter porn?
yeah. That's his love of helicopters is it's mainly like a weird love. No, he's a helicopter pilot. And then the last book is This Place, 150 Years. Is it retold? So it is, 150 years retold. So it is 10 stories. So it's the 150 years of Canadian history told in 15-year increments. That's the word, right?
Yeah.
And every story throughout it's a graphic novel. Every story is told by a different Indigenous author. And every story is also illustrated.
Illustrated.
Illustrated by a different artist. So it's an amazing. The stories are amazing, and the art's amazing, and the art goes with the stories, which I think is just this other element of wonder. These are the stories.
Amazing.
And it's told from their perspective, because I think a lot of the stuff they talk about has been talked about, quote unquote, in like our history, but it's always the other side, and it's always very like, we're just gonna skim the surface.
Yeah. We have an edited version we've been taught.
Yes. But this is the non-edited.
I love that.
Version.
That's
told by the people who should be telling the story.
Which is important. And if you want to learn more about Nkasi speaking up to people like that, I would suggest you follow Nkasi on Instagram. Honestly, she's getting into that literary, she's calling people up. She's having difficult conversations. And it's fun to watch. Follow her at Varnished Valkyrie. That's because you also, another thing that Nkasi loves very much is nail polish, which mine is done so badly and I'm not going to show you.
I know, it's fine.
It's fine.
I'm like, I can't even see my nails.
Oh,
there they are.
very
If you're
gold
watching it.
and sparkly nails. I have what looks like whiteout put onto my nails. Like
I also like how you're showing me your nails. You're like you
really
clawing.
I know. It looks like a duck that's very angry. But yeah, I wanted to I wanted to just thank you so much. I was trying to find something here, but I can't find it.
Also, Andrea, by the way, because at the top of the show, you said you were going to donate. Yes. You did the land acknowledgement. I will match your donation.
Oh, thank you. I was actually trying to look. I had a place that I wanted to donate to, and I can't find it, and I feel like an unprofessional.
Find it. Tell me how much you donate, and I will match that donation.
Thank
but
you
I swear,
so
if you're
much.
like, I've donated $10,000, I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna, you know.
It's not gonna be $10,000 because I honestly, this is one of my jobs. I have so many little jobs that don't make me that much money.
But I will match your donation. So.
Thank you so much, and I think everybody should just go out there and educate yourself. And Cassie's such a great inspiration to me to like have difficult conversations and to do the work and like reading and like getting to know different perspectives. I'm gonna check out that book. It looks so good, the last one you brought up. And yeah, if you're doing land acknowledgements out there, I do implore you to maybe try donating money every time those words leave your mouth, so it actually means something and they're not just words. Thanks so much for being... I think you're the perfect guest for the kind of vibe the show was today. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Connor in the booth. Thank you to Bad Dog TV. If you want to donate to Bad Dog TV, you can go to baddogtheater.com/5things. And that's just helping live art still happen here on the interwebs. Thanks for watching 5 Things. We'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.